All right, this is day 3 of the 2022 Advent of Code. And today the problem is that the elves are packing items into rucksacks. And each one has 2 compartments. And the compartments are of the same size. And they're represented using these strings down below. So each one of these is a separate rucksack. All right, it says the given rucksack always has the same number of items in each of its 2 compartments. So the first half of the characters represent the first compartment, and the second half of the characters represent the second compartment. So you're always going to have an even number of items in each rucksack, and each compartment will contain the same number of items. Now it's also what's going to happen is each compartment, or the 2 compartments, are going to contain a single common type, or single common element. So here's the first one. So here's the items in the first one. Here's the items in the second one. And it says the only one that appears in both is P. What we need to do is we need to find the common item. So our strategy here is going to be to get the length of the rucksack divided in half, and then find the common item find the item that's common to each half. Then we want to get the priority of each common item. And the priorities have the values for lowercase a through z, it's 1 through 26, and uppercase a through z, 27 through 52. And then we'll take the sum of those priorities. All right. So first of all, let's get started by reading in our input. Now I took these items here for which we know the value, and I put them in a file called test input, and then there's also a larger input file that I've put into input.txt. So the first thing I need to do is read in my data. So again, with open input.txt as F, and I'll get the lines. And I'm going to go ahead and strip the new line out. And now, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle this idea of getting the priority of the item. At first glance, I thought, well, maybe I should write a new function like get priority, the item, and then return the ordinal of the item, which, and if we're starting with lowercase letters, that's going to be, lowercase a would be 65. So I'd need to subtract the ordinal of uppercase a, and then since it starts at 1, I need to add a 1. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to cd into day 3, and then I'm going to run IPython. And I'll say from main, oh, guess what? I've already done this. Get priority. And now I can experiment with get priority. And let's start off and let's give it A. That comes out 1, which is what we would expect. Let's try uppercase Z, because according to our instructions, uppercase Z should have a value of 52. -6. Now, this obviously is incorrect, so what's the problem here? Well, the value for uppercase A, ordinal value for uppercase A, does not directly follow the ordinal value for lowercase z. So we have to do something like this. We'd have to say if item is lower, then we'll subtract the ordinal of lowercase a and add 1. Otherwise, we'll use the ordinal of uppercase a. And now, lowercase a still works, but actually I have to do 27 because we have to add 26. So let's try this one more time. get main, get priority A is 1, and uppercase Z is 52. This works. However, there's an easier way. And that's in the string module in the Python standard library, import ASCII letters. And now, if I do IPython and I just import main, and I say main dot, I think I should be able to do this, yes, ASCII letters, you'll see that all of the letters, we have the uppercase letter and lowercase letters in a string followed by the uppercase letters in a string, and now all I would need to do is say main dot ASCII letters dot index of a particular letter, add 1 to it, and then if I do this with uppercase Z router, 52. This is the method that I'm actually going to use. So I'll leave that in there, but this is the method I'm actually going to use. All right, so now let's go on, let's move on to actually arranging or finding out what the priorities of the common items are. So we've got lines. Let's say, first of all, I need to have a total, and then 4 line in lines. I'm going to want to find the halfway point. And so the easiest way to do that would be, since we know that each of them has an even number of items, would be able to take the length of the line and divide it by 2. Now this will actually give a floating point, and I want an integer, so I'm going to use the double slash for integer division. Then I'll say the left side and the right side be a line, and I'll slice this starting at the beginning going up to the halfway point, and the other side will be the line starting at the halfway point and going up to, and going to the end. Now how do I find the common element in each half? Well, it turns out Python has this set type, and a set, and if you take the intersection of two sets, then what it will do is find common items in both. In this case, we know it's only going to be 1. So if I say common equals set of left, and then intersection set of right, that's going to give us a set with the common elements. And of course, in this case, there's only going to be 1. And I can access that with the pop method. So now all I need to do is say that the total plus equals ASCII letters index of that element plus 1 and print the total. All right, so let's run this with I actually should do the test input first. And let's run this and see what we get. And it says no such, again, that's right, I'm running this. I need to run this from day 3. 157. And sure enough, 157. Let's just go back over here, change this to input, and run it. And 7,785, I've already solved this, and the answer is 7,785. All right, let's move on to part 2 here. So that's what we're saying is each group of 3 items, there is a common element between those. So we don't have to get the common element in each compartment. We just get the common element between 3 rucksacks. Take the priority and again sum them. Let's work on this problem here. And I'll start off by again resetting my total. And then now what I need to do is I need to group these into 3s. So I'm going to do something that I don't really do that often in Python, which is iterate over a range. But I want to get every third element, basically. So if I say 0, starting at 0 and going up to the length of the lines, minus 1, and then I'm going to get every third value in that range. that means that I can say, if I want to get a group of 3 lines, I can say lines, and I can slice starting at x and going up to x plus 3. Now the common element between those 3 lines is simply going to be set of the first group. That's wrong. Why am I doing that? There's no function named common. Sorry. Set of the first group. Intersect that with the second group and intersect that with the third group. With the third group there. Now, again, the same and finally print the total. Let's go back up here, get our test input. Run this, get 157, which we saw before, and 70. Our test data should yield 70. Let's get our input, actual input, run it 2633, 2633, and there we go. So those are the solutions, or my solutions rather, for the third day, and if you look in the comments below, I will include the link to the GitHub repository.